Hello everyone and welcome back after game number 1 going Dignitas Academy's way. Impressive performance from them. And Swiper, honestly, it felt very one-sided that entire time. Cloud9 Academy could not find purchase in that game.
No, I mean, I think one of the casters said it, but like C9 went for an invade pretty early into the game, and it didn't actually work. It ended up really bad for them, and it just seemed from that point they were like pretty reactive. I would say, like they were just one step behind, and yeah, Dig just played a really good game from that point.
And we actually have a way to highlight that in a new segment that we're going to run called Armchair Analyst, where we actually break down a play from multiple players' perspectives. Since I have Swiper on the desk with me, you've been in these pro player shoes competing on the top level competition for your region. You're a coach right now, so you go through these kinds of interviews with players on a daily basis. So I'm excited to get your thoughts on this one. We're going to play a clip that happened early on in the game but had very big impact later on in the game. And we're going to go through it multiple times from Dignitas' perspective and from Cloud9's perspective. And Swiper, I'm just going to let you go and kind of highlight the things that you're seeing happening and follow the key players that made impact in that play. So production, if you're ready, let's take a look at the first one and start with it paused here so you can set the stage, Swiper. Let's pause it and then just tell us what's going on. What are we seeing from Dignitas' side?
Yeah, so Dig, I think, have called that they have like a support move, so they want to start this Rift Herald pretty fast. I think they saw Nautilus on the last bot wave, so they just want to get a favorable situation on this Rift Herald. And yeah, they create the numbers, which is, I think it ends up being a 4v3, so yeah, we can play it out. But
yeah, let's click play, and then who do we want to focus on here first?
Let's do JJ, because I actually think he was kind of the MVP in this fight, like the mini MVP. I think just as we just play it out, he sees that they're coming from this left choke here, and I think he starts marking pretty well here, holding this choke. And when he sees a situation where Gwen is out of position and Na kind of do this combo on him, it's a really good combination. And yeah, I mean, if you just go back a little bit, you can see again how Rom is holding this choke really well. It's making it uncomfortable for Copy and Shaden to walk through. So yeah, I was a big fan of how he played this fight. He kind of just adapted well in the situation. I think also Gamsu was someone else who I would highlight, just marking the Gwen as she walks out here. Yeah, I just think he knows his job, obviously, here, just to keep Gwen out of the fight, stop it from getting like a wombo. But yeah, these two in particular really like made this fight easy for Dignitas, I would say.
It's separated everybody, because you can see, just like you were saying, JJ just walks up to the choke point, says, I'm Braum, I'm going to stand in front of the two members of Cloud9 trying to get into the river, stop them while Gamsu can push Darshan up. They just get the Herald, they don't panic, they don't commit to a fight, they get the objective, and then they say, we got a member isolated, Darshan's up there, so let's just jump onto him. And JJ and Gamsu both immediately make that call together. So it was cool that we saw like Dignitas Academy play with level heads, first of all, not panic, but also it felt like they knew exactly what they wanted to do after the objective was taken too. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the exact same play, but this time from Cloud9's perspective. So we'll have Cloud9 Academy vision, and you'll notice that there's that control ward right there. So Dignitas already had the vision advantage. Let's see what Cloud9 saw here. So with it still paused, give me your thoughts on Cloud9's perspective. How are they setting up for this play?
Yeah, so C9 are kind of doing a thing we call tickling in Golden Guardians, but they because their support will be late. Their support will be late to this play, so they essentially don't want to hard commit to a fight yet. I think Destiny did in particular make a mistake. He stayed on the last bot wave when he should have moved like slightly earlier, and this would have actually turned out to a 4v4. So I do want to note that was like a really crucial thing that they should have done. But if you play it out, we'll look at Copy and Shaden here first. We can play that.
Yeah, let's play it out from right now and then watch from C9's perspective, because there's two big perspectives we want to follow. It kind of breaks down into like two zones that Cloud9 play through. Let's start with the Darshan zone. Talk me through Darshan here.
Yeah. Okay, so he actually enters the river at the right time. He's kind of doing that tickling scenario where he doesn't want to like overcommit and wait for Nautilus to come here. But he does E in here, which is like a little bit too aggressive. He probably should wait a little bit longer. The issue is they are on a timer because Dignitas have already taken the Herald, but they should be just playing for the fight. So yeah, he just gets caught by the Gamsu and JJ combination here, which is unfortunate. But yeah, he had the right idea entering the river here, I would say.
But The second perspective, Shaden hits level 6 off of this crop. It feels like Cloud9 are ready to fight. So walk me through Copy and Shaden's perspective now.
Yeah, so they actually like get themselves a bit stuck in this choke. JD does a good job, but they do end up getting into the river here. I think something to note that was small was Copy used his W in the open space where Shaden actually finds a really good W onto the Ari, and they should be able to just combo out this guy. I'm pretty sure based off what Insanity did. But yeah, that should be their mindset, as them two are just entering together, waiting for Nautilus still. And if they do tag that W with Viego, they will just find a one-shot.
Production here, when gravity well goes down, pause it. So about now, right here, boom, pause.
Yeah. So this cooldown.
The issue is that, now that's on cooldown.
Yeah, it's a big cooldown, like wasted here. If I'm being honest, he probably should hold this and just make like they've actually created a decent concave here. Like if they wait a few more seconds for Nautilus, they actually will be in a good situation to fight. But as we waste the W, they still enter the river afterwards, which is ultimately the fight is still playable. I'm pretty sure. It's just that they have to be ready to combo out one person, which was the Ari in this case. So if you just play it out, you will see Viego tag the W on the Ari.
So click play here now, and then let's watch how much damage and how close they get. Insanity's coming up, the Ari. He dashes forward, stunned. It's just not quite enough. Imagine the gravity well's laid on top of that, and you just chain the CC for a little bit longer. Maybe you actually get the kill then. It was a really close call.
Yeah, honestly, Shaden could have potentially just ulted the Ari instantly as well. I think that was just a small thing that he could have done. I think they do actually maybe still get the one shot, which would give him a reset. And then, I mean, the fight's still pretty badass after Darshan gets caught here. But yeah, I think maybe if they can one shot out this Ari, then there's a world where they can win this, or at least get a bit more than they wanted, because the situation was pretty grim, like as a result.
And the Herald turned into more pressure for the side of Dignitas Academy. So we still have the game played out from there. That was just one of the impactful moments. And I love hearing from your Swiper, break it down from different players' perspectives, where their decision-making tree was, what the other branches could have been, and how the play could have gone different from either side. Obviously, it was Dignitas that came out with that. But in certain situations, very small variables can have big impacts. So with that said, let's bring back on the casters here while we get ready for game number 2's pick and ban. We actually have Cubby coming in to step into the color caster role. So Cubby, welcome to the broadcast.
Yeah, it's good to be here, guys.
Yeah, happy to have you on the broadcast. Were you watching game number 1? Are you caught up? Did that segment help you understand and conceptualize
that helped
what was
a
going
ton.
on?
It looked like a quiet, calm, collected game 1 win from Dignitas.
For the most part. Now, Swiper, something that we were talking about was the fact that it still went kind of late. This is something that we see a lot of times in Academy and Proving Grounds, that games don't end, as decisively once a team gets a lead as maybe some other regions, more developed players. So we did get to a point where you were a little worried. You were like, wait a minute, Copy's got 3 items on Victor. Maybe it's going to still go Cloud9's way.
Nah, I mean, it's just, I guess, when you watch these, like the top of regions, like LCK, LPL, like they will just close out these games extremely fast with like a Baron start or something like this. I think maybe Dignitas could have ended slightly faster by flipping a Baron scenario or something like this. So, yeah, I mean, I think in the next few games, if they're feeling it, like you could speed it up a little bit, just a tiny bit.
Let's just press that, 1.5 speed. Maybe not 2 times, but just a little bit. Yeah, we can get through that quicker. But with that said, I'm here. The Pick and Ban is ready for game number 2. So, for the first time today, I'm going to pass it to Rafa and Cubby on the call.
Thank you, Kangas, and I'll see you on the other side after this game. Cubby, welcome to the show. I'm not sure how much of the first game you were able to catch, but, as Swiper and Kangas were able to illustrate, Dignitas just being able to, I guess, out macro Cloud9 and being able to execute and respond to Cloud9's early decisions, and then they were on reactive playstyle. So for us, we have seen Cloud9 in the past not been able to bounce back from rough games, but as an example from last week, AOEG to Turmeric, they bounced back hard and was off the back of Copy.
And I gotta say that game 1 for me was actually kind of surprising from Dig. Just I think this tournament, like a lot of it's been parry on junglers that can clear nicely. So if Dignitas gets a lead, they can often make sure they have more resources and are always answering plays or starting plays on their own, given the pool that parry's had. But to do that against C9 Academy, I mean, I guess it's no surprise after TL, but these are two of the teams that we usually praise for having the strongest macro in Academy. And coming off this win against Team Liquid Honda, they haven't missed a beat, now taking it to C9.
And Cloud9, the one change they made in their draft saying, you know what, we banned the Poppy last time and prioritized the Nautilus for Destiny. This time we banned the Wukong away from parry and we are locking in the Poppy for ourselves. Something that Shaden has made great use of, especially in their opening game against AoE Ginger Turmeric last week.
And it's curious now seeing that response for Parry B, this Xin Zhao. He has gotten a win on it already in this tournament, but usually we see the Trundle would usually match the identity with an Aphelios too, just helping slow down fights, take away some of the stats from tanks, so people jumping in, you can get through them quicker, but no, it's Xin Zhao for Dig, so a little bit more focused on that early skirmishing power in the draft.
That does sense to me that Dignitas Academy, rather than wanting to control fights, as you say, it's all about, you know, parry. Can he be explosive? Can he increase the volatility for some of these lanes? So I'm expecting to see them for either Insanity and or Gamsu to have a little bit more firepower in the solo lanes that they choose against Cloud9.
And I like this Jinx for C9. Aphelios is showing, and King's Jinx, it's 5-1 this split with a 12.4 KDA in both Academy and PG play. So I think taking this, we could see a Tom Kench here too if they wanted to deny that from the Aphelios, or going to be Nautilus for Destiny, a champ that he's been very good at setting the pace, setting the tempo for the team with.
Last time JJ responded with the Braum, and it looks like JJ is going to go back to it once again. You know, and there's a story about this Braum. We saw that when Dignitas were coming into their up momentum swing in last year as Dignitas Academy, after being able to integrate Will much better during their Proving Grounds and Unified Grand Prix run, JJ was absolutely killing it on the Braum, by far his most picked of summer 2021.
Yeah, JJ on those, you know, defensive, more appealing supports was so sound. I feel like this year, JJ has actually been good on everything. JJ's been really slept on, gone about, you know, being a support very quietly with the strength that he has brought to this team, brought to this tournament. Nice to see him getting a little bit more praise now as they, of course, are fighting for that spot in the grand finals already here, Rafa. But for Dig, I like where they are in draft at the moment. I think that Braum plays very well in the couple champs they have, and Dignitas now are going to be looking for some more main engage to help support the Braum. So I actually really like the ban of the Ornn by C9, taking a big, easy engage tool away from them that wouldn't be as good for C9 given the fact that Braum Shield, unbreakable against the Call of the Forge God. Pretty good interaction.
And the last time that Cloud9 were in this phase, they weren't concerned about the Ornn, because between Sivir and Wukong, while, you know, it's not the best consistent engage you can always get, it's definitely far more than what they had this time around. Dignitas Academy going down, you know, the slew of picks of like, okay, well, what can we do to bring us primary engage if Ornn is gone? Sejuani, next best option.
Now I'm really curious to see if Darshan wants to throw down with something like a Fiora coming out as in the Sedge, the tank. If they wanted to commit to side laning, something that we've seen C9 Academy do very often throughout this season, that could be the pickup. But instead, it might be copy on his namesake pick in the Silas. Of course, you can copy opponents' ultimates. Copy very, very sound of this champion. Always has been throughout his career. Has a few nice ults to grab early, so I do like this pickup for C9.
Yeah, being able to grab Glacial Prison so far is the most attractive one as an option. Now, Cloud9 Academy being able to pair that alongside Death Charge, you are going to at least pick off one target, and you get the resets rolling in for King, and he can completely take over a fight.
Will be Jax now for Darshan. So part of why this is kind of nice against the Sejuani is that you can stop the permafrost stacks from coming through with the counter-strike. And we'll see if Darshan's able to put down the pressure in the side lane on this Jax. Can also scale in the fights a little bit. But now Dignitas, they have to be very, very careful. The mid laner they grab, Poppy Silas puts so much pressure on whichever enemy mid that you're going to be taking down. So Insanity, whatever he plays, will have to be very careful the first few levels of the laning phase to make sure that he doesn't get ganked, doesn't get set behind. And it looks like he will be deciding to go for that Ahri.
Now, Ahri worked out for him well in game one of this series. Insanity, I think one of the best plays he made was being able to isolate King, and while he didn't get a killing blow onto him, blowing both of his summoner spells made it absolutely impossible for King to be able to walk in with as much safety in the leading fights sequentially afterwards. For Dignitas Academy, let's go back from the top to the bottom in terms of composition. Main engage tools, it's off of Gamsu, right? And Standing maybe can look for a pick, Spirit Rushing in with the Charm, but I imagine for Dignitas, it's less about, you know, forcing an engage and actually looking for a pick to get that numbers advantage so that Neo is given more space to play with since he is at a range disadvantage the later the game goes on against King.
Yeah, I think it's a decent read. I think the for Dignitas, something that their comp has a lot of power in is actually skirmishing. When you skirmish with Sejuani, Xin, Braum, I mean, that's so many auto attacks, stacking, related passes you can try and find CC with. So I'm really curious at that. Man. Yeah, I'm really curious to see if Dignitas uses any of that power early. I think invades are on the table for them.
Well, for them, Dignitas have a lot of power, as you said, in that three-man core between jungle, support, and top. But I'm also looking at Cloud9 Academy, and I'm looking at Copy, who, going from the Victor, it was taken away, someone that wants to sit back in the fight and control the pace of how the skirmishers of the team fights break out, to now being on the Silas. He has to go in. He has to be the one that decides, makes or breaks some of the opening kills of the game so that King can reset and look to clean up the rest of the fight. He didn't get to have as big of a wake up in game one, but for us, we're expecting, especially with a player who is so storied, coming in after being on the first 100 Thieves next class in 2020, making his academy debut last year, and now trying to make a name for himself and pushing himself to LCS level.
Yeah, I know that's something that Copy talked about when it came to that earlier in the season, was the fact that he wanted more of the flashier plays to be at his name. He's like, I've spent some time in Academy now. You know, I know that the timers, the resets, I feel like I've really grown as a player, but I've lost some of that flash, some of that pizzazz. And on the Silas, we've seen Copy do nothing but have success on this champion. So returning to that, I want to see if C9 can maybe utilize that plus the Poppy to really pressure Insanity in the mid lane. We thought mid was going to be very important coming into this series. Poppy plus Silas, that can make an enemy mid laner's life hell the first few levels of the game. Really want to see if C9 utilizes that.
And while we wait for players to load in, as we're just getting through some technical difficulties on their end, shifting the conversation over to Dignitas' side, we haven't talked much about individual players so far in this series. I know at the top of the pre-show, we were highlighting JJ, a support that, we've already mentioned that has had quite a huge amount of growth and development over the past year. While he is no stranger to the LCS after playing for FlyQuest back in, I want to say 2020, if I'm not mistaken. JJ, that was his first appearance in LCS, and as we've seen with players like Dokla, just because you get 1 year in LCS does not, and then you go back to Academy, does not mean you are a failed prospect. Everyone is growing, everyone is always developing those skills, and JJ is someone of equal caliber who's now showing, hey, I'm not someone that should be slept on as well. As we are getting word, game is about to load up for number 2 of this series between Dignitas Academy and Cloud9 Academy. Let's head to the Rift.
Oh!
Wait, what?
Okay, here we are. 4 minutes in. Wow, well, it looks like the mid-jungle kingdom for C9 has been pretty good here. As
snap.
Poppy, he's 3-1.
Okay, well, this is a way to start out the game for the first 4 minutes. You can even see the CS numbers as well. I mean, it's been so bloody. Just to give an update, we were not able to catch the first 4 minutes of the game, so we're just starting ground zero from here on. But with this advantage right now, we talked about Copy being the player that had to step up to show the plays and to be the clutch man, and he and Shaden are making it work so far.
Wow. You know what? I'm just a happy camper here, Rafa. I get to safely say that what we were talking about with the game, it came true, even if we didn't get to see it.
Let's
it's
go.
Perfect. No, but, the ability to utilize Silas early with Poppy for setups, looks like C9's been using that to great use so far as Destiny. Uh-oh.
No flash available on Destiny. This is a very nice pick. Great patience from Dignitas, ready to lay a trap on the Copy, but it's Destiny that gets picked off instead. Shaden waiting around the corner to see if he can provide some assistance, but Copy is still forced to flash over the wall because he knows that he would have died to the skirmishing power of Xin Zhao and Braum.
Get the bonus summoner though as well, so Not all bad for the side of Dignitas, as I wonder if we can get our observers to maybe toggle the scoreboard down, up again, as Gamsu stuck in a rock and a hard place.
Huge dive attempt from Darshan and Shaden. They juggled the turret aggro beautifully this time around. Just because game one didn't go their way doesn't mean that they are out of this series quite yet, showing great mental resilience and fortitude, bouncing back strongly in this game two opener.
That's what we expected from C9. This was a team that coming in as the 3 seed, many of us thought would be the ones to challenge Team Liquid Honda. It was Dignitas early on, but C9, there's a reason that we thought they were going to be a team that could challenge. They have the experience.
But Insanity! Oh, that's a huge shutdown now. Being able to pick up the kill on the copy was just a solo kill. And now Dignitas, momentum has been swung back in their favor.
Oh my, Dig, I mean, we missed the first few minutes where C9 got ahead, but the moves that Dignitas has been making the last couple, so sound. I mean, first off, getting that mid gank onto Copy forced him off the wave. They got Insanity experience advantage. He nets it a solo kill out of that onto Copy. This helps them take an early dragon. Dignitas now, they're off to the races.
That's the first dragon of the game, and we're still a minute and 10 seconds away from the first Rift Herald being spawned. One of the things that we noted that went so well in favor of Dignitas in game one was that JJ had a solid 45-second lead on Destiny in terms of roaming over to the Rift Herald. He went up earlier than one wave reset and everything. So by the time that Cloud9 tried to attempt to contest him at the Rift Herald, it was still a 4-man, 3-man advantage. As now we have the scoreboard finally updated back to live, we see now all the changes pouring in. Insanity, 3 kills to their name, while Copy, 3 kills as well as the 2 deaths as they picked up. Dignitas, 30 seconds away. I want to see how early rotations are coming in from the bottom lane of Cloud9 and Dignitas.
We are getting word from our production team that it was a Silas triple kill that netted him the 3 kills early. So we will be grabbing those, hopefully, able to have access to that, show you guys after this game or later. But at the moment, you have to think about this Rift swap that you were teasing, Rafa. Didn't want to take us too far out of that, as both junglers are on the top side at the moment. I think a big part of this, bot lane priority, what Swiper was talking about in that mid-game, or halftime segment, I should say. If bot lane's able to move first, it can really help your team's chances at taking the Rift Herald. And at the moment, it looks like Neo and JJ have the slight push advantage in the bot side.
Nice thing for Cloud9, Shaden was able to pick up the crab off vision of Dignitas. So even if Dignitas get there first, they will at least know that they are entering into the pit. So far...
Oh, look at bot. Look at bot.
Yeah.
It's a trap being laid here by the side of Neo and JJ, as they're waiting in the Tribe Rush, seeing if C9 walks up, but looks like C9 will instead look to recall. One's canceled, as Destiny is now delayed.
I think he's trying to sneak on his way. Okay, he's warding the Krugs just in case.
Yeah,
Dignitas were thinking of planting a dive towards the bottom side of the map. Yeah.
So Shaden will be posturing around, but once Perry jumps into this pit, that is a one-way trip. So Perry trying to be a little bit more careful with it, waiting for his bot lane to come up, as they will be first. Perry now going to jump on in.
Dignitas is committing their full bottom lane to this, while King is still going to be absorbing a lot of minion experience. Perry is committed into the pit, flashing away at the very last second. This Rift Herald still being leashed by Cloud9, but they're backing off of it for now, because knowing that Cloud9 ensured that King would stay to receive all the solo resources and experience in the bottom side of the map, they'll give the Rift Herald as a trade.
And that trade from Perry, like, yeah, he loses his flash, but look at how much HP him and Insanity were able to trade back. The fact that this bot lane is here, others is not, this means that this Rift Herald goes down to them. C9, though, by pulling this, by delaying it, they will ensure that they deny some waves of XP and gold for Neo, and also have already gotten King 1 plate. Looks like he will be able to secure 2. So, honestly, for C9, not all bad.
This is the trade difference as well, because in game one, King and Destiny, after being late to the rotation over to from JJ, they came in as a duo slowly, whereas Neo had already committed to the bottom lane push. This time around, more resources are being dedicated to making sure that King is the one that is ahead. We talked about during the draft phase that all the single target crowd control abilities you have from Cloud9, especially if you grab Sejuani's ult in, you can set up for the Jinx cleanup.
And this Jinx, the fact that she was just able to get 3 plates solo, deny some of that golden experience away from Neo and Aphelios too. That's massive for the side of C9. So as you highlighted in draft, Rafa, it's about the resets for C9, trying to get King excited. Yeah, Kraken Slayer at before 11 minutes, that's getting me pretty excited up here on the castle.
Yeah,
so good news for C9.
That's going to hit hard. Yeah, there's no tier 2 boots for King, but the damage output will be shredding through Dignitas if they get into an early skirmish. And the next one could be sooner if Cloud9 decide to contest Dignitas at the second dragon in 40 seconds.
Meanwhile, Insanity going to work in the mid lane as,
huge combo. Does he kill him right here? Not quite. But that is going to force Copy to use his TP to get back to lane if they want to contest for the dragon.
The tournament that Insanity has been having so far has just been so good to see out of this player. I think he's really had a good split, but has found a way to step it up even more when push comes to shove in Proving Grounds. And he is destroying this lane against Copy, who, keep in mind, got a triple kill to start off this game that we all missed. Insano bouncing back. He's up 3 waves plus of creeps. Found a solo kill for himself. That's a huge turnaround going up against Silas Papia. Duo that's going to make your life hell in the mid lane early. He felt that hell early and managed to turn it around already. That's massive for the side of Dignitas. That said, this bot lane itemization lead for King and C9 will grant them that second dragon, as mid's going to be traded out.
Dignitas do not want to throw hands at a dragon when Jinx has that Kraken Slayer online. But as you called out, mid turret is traded, and that map control is now granted over to Dignitas. If they want to start pushing their vision line further into the recesses of Cloud9's jungle, they can start preparing for future dragons, or they can look to threaten to dive either side lane at this point.
And I think that's the interesting move here for C9 as we go into the mid to later stage. Rafa trying to attack or dive one of these side laners, just utilizing the Jax and the Silas in sides. I still think that C9 will be able to play 3 lanes better than Dignitas, given this Jax versus Sejuani matchup. But I'm curious to see, the timers that Gamsu leaves lane and looks for plays. That's the big one for the side of Dig, if they can utilize the Sejuani to try and snowball. As at the moment, it is a 2k gold lead for Dig. And I think all eyes have to be on, can they use that Sejuani to group, or will King be able to go about these fights untouched?
Not seeing a chance for those fights to erupt quite soon yet. No Jack does the play for the next few minutes here on the board. Neo and King continuing to maximize their resource intake on this bottom side of the map. But going back to the power of Perry and JJ, the skirmishing duo, if they can look for... happens, Gamsu. We don't land all of those. And wait, does this actually open a window for Darshan to go for the solo kill onto Gamsu? He doesn't have Arctic Assault because Darshan flashed in place to make sure that he couldn't get the Arctic Assault all the way through the full distance. But it's not enough damage out of Darshan, and Gamsu gets out.
Still, we can see some of that pressure being put down by the Jax in this top side. Gamsu forced to walk back. Will have to drop a lot of golden XP off that wave. And Insanity will look to cover. Not the case.
Knows that Darshan will go for the recall, pushes in the wave faster before then Insanity can look to punish. Harry being on the bottom side of the map allowed for Neo and JJ to crash that wave in successfully. And now we're just looking at a state of the map where Dignitas, now having taken out both the outer turrets in mid lane and bottom lane, Cloud9 had to be far more careful about where they start stepping in the bottom quadrant. As soon as Dignitas come back with a fresh bag of control wards and trinkets, they can completely sweep it out in preparation for this third dragon of the game. And Cloud9, I mean, you don't want to face check into Ahri. We saw last game. You don't want to face check into Sejuani if Gamsu's on the bottom side of the map. So Cloud9, it's all about Destiny if he can find pockets of vision that guide a safe path to that side of the map.
It's funny you mentioned vision too, because that bot tower dropping, I actually think that was because of C9's lack of vision. We saw Insanity hovering on the top side, but there were no wards on the bot side for C9 either. So I think that's part of the reason they had to see that turret. If Ahri was hovering bot, they could have gotten dove. It would have been bad for them. So starting to see some of that mid pressure and map pressure from Dignitas really showing out as they're taking a few extra objectives for themselves.
Gamsu and Darshan already being on this bottom side of the map shows that I think Cloud9 want to contest for the Dragon in advance, but also because this Rift Herald just spawning, being on the opposite side, if they want to join the fight, Unleashed Teleport is available for both sides, but Cloud9 not even showing an interest in the Rift Herald because they know they do not want to face check this Dignitas squad.
Dig just going to continue to win out on these objective plays. So curiously enough, I think Copy being up here, if Copy stays up here, that tells me that C9, they don't care as much about this Dragon, because Copy is down that TP. And Dignitas, they have an option to make here. They can try and utilize this Rift Herald to get themselves some earlier recalls, keep C9 on the map, and then reset for the Dragon, or they can go for a double crash here in the top side, which looks to be the decision from the Braum and the Xin Zhao, trying to get this in twice. Actually will not be the case. Okay, so they're going to give this away. See Dignitas reset now, and it looks like they want to still fight this Dragon.
And I probably thought about it, but as soon as King and Destiny started rotating on to the left side of the map,
That's a big TP.
Oh, this is a big TP, and Gamsu knows that
He's
he
out of
is
there.
in no man's land, has the TP out. But that's going to give slight advantage over to Cloud9, because now they're in position first.
Hey, he's just rejoining with the team, man. But that's a big punish now. Parry, oh boy.
Oh god, yeah. Pops the Crescent Guard, has a flash available,
dead.
but I don't think he's going to be given a chance to even do anything. Cloud9, great punish on two members of Dignitas. One forced to TP out, the other goes down.
Yeah, and you know, the TP from Gamsu, that was a TP to get that one out, but the mistake from Parry, that's not forced. And so Parry, as this newer member, this rookie, stepping into the river there, that's a mistake. The rest of his team's in base. C9 knows that. You can't make those mistakes against C9. This team, they were third in our Academy season for a reason. Real solid overall. That's a sound decision from them to punish. They take that second Dragon and Dig. Only options to take mid-inner, which they're pushing to do.
Couple more auto attacks, not going to be enough though for Dignitas to take out the second tier turret. Cloud9 being able to react appropriately and defend. Parry. I guess Darshan does not want to tango with two, doesn't have all of his reinforcements quite yet. Parry forced to use the smite to secure the blue buff. Rest of Cloud9 are back in this river, and a teleport is coming in. This time it's Copy. Can he grab Gamsu's ultimate as first? Yeah, he's got Glacial Prison. But he's throwing it over in the parry. They're forcing away the front line, away from the back line of Dignitas, and they're keeping them busy. Copy and Darshan zoning off the top jungle duo of Dignitas, so the rest of Cloud9 can pile drive in onto Neo. JJ and Insanity keep their safety and distance away as King was almost brought down by Insanity. Super Mega Death Rocket already used, but it's a stasis from Insanity. Flashing away from the Chompers, gets out alive, but no Spirit Rush available means that he cannot re-engage into the fight.
And C9 went out on both skirmishes across the map there as King burned both of his summoners to get away from Insanity, but was able to survive. His ability to keep on pumping out damage, make sure they win on the mid lane fight and then the top side fight. Man, Darshan able to go even as this Jax, he's just brawling out with the resources that he has early as C9 bouncing back. I mean, they're down in gold in this game, Rafa. They just straight up won both those fights.
And I think Cloud9 just making great understanding of their spatial awareness and their threat assessment as well. You already have this three-man core pile driving onto JJ and Neo before Insanity joins the fight, but then the rest of Cloud9 is zoning off the main front line of Dignitas, so they cannot provide the assistance to Neo, and then Neo stepping up.
Yeah, you can't step into that rush when you don't have any vision, and there's a Nautilus there. As had the Gale Force away from the auto attack, did not get him away from the dredge line. Neo goes down, but now
I was waiting. I was waiting to see if, like two ships in the night, we were ready for the action to just explode, and Cloud9 and Dignitas are just gonna go about their separate ways. Cloud9 setting up vision control for Baron. It's Gamsu getting potentially routed off by Darshan. Arctic assaults away, and they have the push now. There's no objectives to play for outside of Baron, but for Cloud9, I don't know if you want to just throw the Hail Mary yet.
I mean, for C9, the objective is Darshan. Wherever Darshan's at, just get him resources, because you're going to be winning the map if Darshan's farming. No one can contest this Jax on the side of Dignitas. So this is the right call from Darshan and C9. Just throw him in the bot lane, make sure that he's playing away from that big objective and can keep on winning out on a side. Whereas for Dig, they actually want to group up. They want to try and fish with these glacial prisons and see if they can find anyone. Keep in mind, King doesn't have any summoner spells and will not have flash up for this next dragon fight. So Dignitas do have someone they can attack on the map.
Oof. That's not pleasant.
You know, if you don't hit the first one, just try again, right? It's a 2-for-1 special.
I'm assuming King was trying to stall the recalls here, but King, as you pointed out, no summoner spells. Cleanse is coming up, but not for another 30 seconds. Darshan might be the one caught out here. No flash available, just burned it to get away from the main front of that engage. A glacial prison thrown out. Darshan and Shaden holding the line. Good keeper's verdict.
Insanity.
Neo being able to hit. And Insanity comes back line. He found King. And that's a majority of your damage already gone. If you take out Copy, then this fight is won. Darshan is also gone. And Neo flashing over the wall. He saved it so that he could take him out. Quadra kill. Instant redemption for Neo.
And Neo's name is all over the scoreboard, but I want to talk about Insanity, the angle he took as the Ahri in that fight. We were talking how King doesn't have any summoner spells up. So it's a front-to-back fight here for Dignitas. The only one that's on the side is Insanity. He gets on King directly. No one was able to peel for King in this scenario as Insanity spotted late. Full combo on the King. Yeah, the charm goes wide, but the Everfrost connects. King gets deleted on the backside. Even Neo's able to help out, and the fight's won. That's all the damage for C9 off the board. They were not able to protect their Jinx in the river. Really well played from Dignitas finding that angle.
And such good gun choice for Neo at this time and place of the fight. Being able to keep himself at long range distance with that green and white setup meant that he could contribute without ever stepping into the grasp of Copy, Darshan, and Shaden.
And what a story for Dignitas now. I mean, they're about to even up the score in Dragons, you gotta assume, with Baron up. But coming into this tournament, I mean, Dig were going through changes, right? It was still Perry coming in last second for PG. It's, hey, Gamsu's in PG again. Like, can this team really come together as Dignitas had quite the roster shuffle, given River being sold off to GG and some other decisions made. But this team, the way they've been able to come together, who would have thought? Heck, they're almost one game away from booking their tickets into the grand finals. First, Rafa, no one saw this coming in PG.
I mean, let's be honest. I don't think Dignitas Academy as a roster was ever at the forefront of when those roster changes were being made. It was all about trying to see if the LCS team could make a run for the playoffs. It didn't happen, unfortunately, for them. But for Dignitas Academy, they were given the short end of the stick and saying, okay, you know, do whatever, right? And they are here. They are here in Winners Finals, the farthest Dignitas has ever been as a squad since... Once again, I'm blanking on the year, but I know they had a third, fourth place finish.
In summer.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow, what a story for Dig. I mean, getting here, this team, there is a lot of experience on this team, but still incorporating Perry, who has never played in Academy before this. I mean, had made the PG round of one, right? Bottom 4 finish. That's it for Perry. And bringing Perry into the fold, and really enabling Perry to play as champs and play the way that we've seen Perry play in Champs Queue has Dig. I mean, what an accomplishment for Dig. Now, job's not finished yet, right? This is a best of 5, but God, they sure as hell look like they're going into that third game up 2-0 at the moment.
They still have Baron buff on their side. Gamsu and JJ are the ones leading the charge, and Insanity's fishing for a charm, looking for King, lands the combo, gets the cleanse out. Half HP already down on King, but he still has a flash to play with, so he's not in immediate danger yet. But if he gets hit by another charm, he might not have enough time to escape the full combo of Insanity, even with the flash up.
Well worth it. Just keep the pressure on, as it also did send King back to the fountain. Now, there is no wave here for Dignitas. This is the last wave. They will have that Baron buff on their shoulders. We'll see if they can get this mid inhibitor turret down.
Glacial Prison, right onto Perry. He still has a crescent guard, but Keeper's Verdict! It hits the back line of Neo and Gamsu, so they can't contribute in the fight.
King's
it's one-sided in favor of Cloud9. They can push forward. They got the first reset down on the JJ, but Darshan is traded right on back. Cloud9 still have 4 against 4. Dignitas making this push happen, but they know there's nothing more to gain without JJ.
No JJ, no Baron buff, no push, right? Might as well just go take the camps on your way out as Dig. They don't get the middle inhibitor turret, but they still got the bottom inhibitor for themselves, so it's still a big win for Dignitas. as they will have some form of map pressure up when both these monster objectives come back on the map. They are synced up in timers. Gonna take a second look. C9, they don't want to give this middle inhibitor turret. They are trying to prod around for a fight. Copy lands an ice ultimate, and King goes untouched, but Darshan going a little bit too far forward to the back half, does get traded out. At least they keep their objective up.
It's still a 7,000 gold lead. Absolutely massive for Dignitas. And that all came about after that massive quadra kill fight that Neo was able to collect in on, thanks to the help of Insanity flanking on the side. Ever since then, Cubby, it had been a very close game for both of these teams. 1,000 gold difference was the closest between them. Cloud9 have a huge mountain to climb in order to come back from this point, but they still have the duels to do it, though.
I think a lot of that still has to be on Darshan, though, who
Yeah.
is committing to side laning with his Hull Breaker. So I'm really curious to see what happens with his next dragon. If Darshan groups, he is so far behind in items. Hull Breaker tells me that he doesn't want to group. And frankly, for C9 at this point of the game, I feel like that's the right call. The only way they're going to win this one is if Darshan is able to just get everything done in the side lane.
Objective bounties are up, so the Hull Breaker will get even more value, not only taking out either of the outer turrets in the bottom lane or the top lane, but also cashing in on the extra gold. Cloud9 have so much to make up for in lost grounds after one fight. Dignitas making the push, 4-man versus 4-man on the top side. Gamsu has teleport, so does Darshan. Huge straight line on the Neo, but he goes golden, and now Dignitas, can they buy space for Neo to reposition? He flashes away over to the right side of the wall, gets the long range once again with the green and the white gun setup, but it is shaded, traded for JJ. Resurrection coming out from Parry. He goes instantly down. Gamsu is teleported in, but the rest of his backline does not want to step up. There's too much to worry about when Copy has Spirit Rush, flashing away before getting out alive. Darshan leading the charge, but it's the kill force from Neo that takes him out. And what a bloody fight from Cloud9 and Dignitas.
And a bloody good one for C9, as again, King, as long as they're fighting front to back, under that turret, no one can find a flank, no one can find an angle onto King. And his ability to DPS is what is changing these fights in C9's favor.
Dignitas managing to salvage their backline, but the fact that Cloud9 pick up 3, the objective bounties coming in, cashing in on those kills, as well as the overall bounty on those champions, means that Cloud9 are closing the distance.
And again, King, this fight, no one gets onto King. It's a really nice stopwatch used by Copy at the start, Neo, to make sure that he gets out, but it just enables a front to back for King. That's exactly what Jinx wants in this composition. It needs to be angles, flanks from Dignitas to make sure that King never has a fight that easy.
We're back in it already. The main engage is thrown out, and JJ gets evaporated. Destiny blinking on less than 100 HP, gets out alive, can always look to reset, but JJ's sacrifice will not go in vain because Dignitas still secure the 3rd dragon.
Yeah, Neo did so much damage. They lose a member, but the health bars were all in favor of Dignitas. That's sole point for them.
In the next 5 minutes, Cubby, we will see whether Cloud9 are forced to challenge Dignitas for potentially the last fight of the game. If that Infernal Soul is taken by Dignitas, that is so much damage coming out of Insanity, coming out of Neo, even Parry to an extent that not even a ramped up Jinx can stop.
Yeah, and again, Gamsu's late from the Death Chamber. Dignitas, or C9 knowing this, they force early, they get JJ. But look at the damage that came down from Neo, that blue gun. Holy cow, the fact that C9 got out with all their members alive. That's okay for them. Objective goes over to Dig, but importantly for C9, as you were highlighting, Rafa, no more objective bounties for them. They were able to get a couple things back, get back into this game. 5k gold deficit, yeah, that's big, but hey, if Jinx is able to get on IE and Jinx stays safe in a fight, anything can happen from the side of C9.
Much better than being in an 8k gold deficit from what we saw before. They have closed the wall gap, ensuring that Dignitas are not just completely stat checking them at this point. It's all about creating space for the 2 backline carries and up to the mid laners and Insanity and Copy to see if they can find creative flanks, ways to cheat the front line, because these are brutal front lines now at this point in the game. And Perry going right on in. Glacial Prison lands on Shade, and Copy getting knocked up, sent into the bounce house, and the Keeper's Verdict comes out, but the damage has been done. Copy is already taken out of the fight, and King did not need to burn any summoner spells, but almost went down as collateral damage.
I mean, the follow-up from Neo on Perry's engage was too much. The Aphelios, that blue gun, that hit 4, I think, with the Moonlight Vigil. King could not stay to fight at all. Nearly taken off the map itself. King survives, Baron will not, and Dig playing that beautifully. I mean, they sent Perry in. That's the only person they committed. Xin Zhao is so safe with that ultimate. And they took out King for it pretty much. That's well worth it.
Darshan trying to pick up this turret with the Hull Breaker, ensuring that the rest of Cloud9 members stay out of range. They get some gold back, but Darshan getting clipped by this charm. Looks for Shaden to hop over the wall, but that means Dignitas are gonna all file on in. Copy still not up, has teleport unleashed available if he wants to join the fight. Dignitas, recognizing that Copy is back up, do not want to pursue this any further.
Gamsu did have the ultimate, did not decide to fire it off, as again, they need to find angles. Oh, here we go!
Lighting King JJ has stopwatch, and beautiful steadfast presence prevents the rest of the engage, but Insanity goes on to King. The cleanse comes out, still has a flash available. Insanity goes golden with his Zonya's Hourglass, but King is still on the run. As Insanity has one more Spirit Rush, he has the flash if he wants to close the distance, but King is way too close to the fountain. Insanity knows better to save resources to get the push guaranteed. They have Baron buff on their side, they have a minion wave to play with, but King still has a flash to play with. Charm lands on the Copy, forced to go golden. The knockup from JJ hits huge. Copy goes down. It's a numbers advantage. Dignitas 5-man to 3. Darshan spawning in the next couple of seconds. It'll be a 5-on-4, but they're still staying to push in this last minion wave. But Dignitas know they have over-welcomed their stay and know it's time to reset.
Oh, hold on.
Hey, wait!
Hold on!
No! Wait! What is this? Dignitas get a free pick! And now it's 5-on-3 once again!
Oh no, I think that's it, Rafa. Dignitas, they only needed one more thing to fall in their favor to get game 2 to fall. Exactly what happens. 2 Nexus turrets down.
Yeah, the teleport is coming in. The turrets evaporate like paper. And man, oh man, Dignitas, would you believe it? They took out Team Liquid Honda Academy, and now they're on game 3 match point to put themselves into the grand finals of the Proving Grounds tournament.
And I gotta say, Neo, Insanity that game were so sound. I mean, the ways that they were able to attack King, it was Ahri on flanks, and then it was Neo following up with Aphelios' abilities whenever Xin Zhao was going in. Having the green-white combo, the blue gun for the ultimate as well. The last few fights, King was never even able to auto-attack, so all the pressure that Dignitas put him under before the fight started, really well played by Dig to make sure that that Jinx that, you know, had to run around, peel for herself, didn't have that Tom Kench, was really punished in the later fights.
In the fights where Cloud9 made the first proactive engage and forced Dignitas to back on up, no one was threatening King, and he was able to blast away unthreatened. But every other time, it was Dignitas making the proactive engage, Insanity looking for a flank, and then who is supposed to protect King at that point in the game? Cloud9 now find themselves backs against the wall, Cubby. A couple of our analysts had predicted it was going to be a Cloud9 3-2, 3-1 victory. At this point, Cloud9 would have to make the reverse sweep to come back and cement themselves into grand finals to revisit what could have been like they did in spring of Proving Grounds 2021. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's match point, and we got Kangas and Swiper back on the desk.
And Juan is just great. I don't know. I enjoy his vibes a lot. And I think he's, honestly, specifically for this, I want to say that Juan is probably the most underappreciated support of all time, in my opinion. I think he doesn't get enough credit, not only for his gameplay, but also what he brings to the team outside of the game. Like, I don't know. He's just a great support and a great person.